Hey, Wantrans here. We're back again this week with another Raid Platinum reset push video. This reset in particular is special because it's the first reset after the AI patch. So this reset, you're going to find that there's a lot of defenses that are much different and more speed based, as it appears that the speed meta is back. So you'll see how I sort of make differences to my offense teams in order to account for this and to ensure that I'm trying to win as many battles as possible and ensure that the battles I'm actually attacking, that I have the optimal and highest success rate in beating. So right away you'll see here, normally on this team I run a Madame instead of a Warlord. And particularly with the advent of the AI patch, I'm finding that a lot of people are running now Swift Parry Warlords, even before the AI patch actually. And the problem is that when these Warlords proc the Swift Parry along with another Reviver with a Swift Parry, what can happen is that the Warlord can just immediately lock you out instead of what used to happen. He would just heal the team, as that was the set AI. But now if you prioritize his A3 skill to go first, the Warlord will just lock out your team, and then when the other Swift Parry Reviver revives everybody, then you're in pretty much an infinite stall at that point, so you end up losing that battle. So what I decided to do was use Warlord of my own in order to counter these Swift Parry Warlords, so even if Swift Parry does proc on them, I won't be in trouble as their own lockout skill is on cooldown as well. So you'll see here, because of that change, my damage is severely mitigated as far as what my Trunda can output, but I'm still able to clean this battle up in around 24 seconds, which is very respectable. We move on here, we see Pacus. So you'll see that my fast Kymar team has now changed. You'll see that I no longer run Solus, I'm bringing in Ignatius for this reset. And the reason for that is, like I said, because I'm switching out Warlord in place of what I used to run as Madame. My damage that I'm able to push out is a lot less, and because there's only one reliable AoE from Solus, I'll be in trouble if I'm not able to do enough damage, especially against those Ursuga-Duchess combination teams, or sometimes just very tanky Duchesses. Their passive combined with just their overall HP and defense stats prevent me from being able to do enough damage to knock out the team. So instead here, you'll see that I'm running Ignatius as he has two reliable AoEs, both his A3 and his A2, and what that allows me to do is just hold off on using Kymar's A3 reset until I use both of the AoEs, as you can see here. And now I'll be able to reset with my Kymar, and then I have two more AoEs to go. And all this while, the whole opponent team is locked out by my Warlord. So it seems like that Plarium wants to change the meta into changing arena battles into more so like Doom Tower stage battles, where they just take quite some time in order to finish. But you want to just tackle this in a slow and steady approach now, because it's no longer like the past where you can use blender teams and finish opponent defenses in about like 3 seconds, 3 to 8 seconds. Nowadays, battles are taking much longer, and that's just seemingly how Plarium wants to move the meta and the trend to. As you can see here, I am testing one of these Warlord, not Warlord, but Hegemon Warlord defenses. And particularly for this reset, I wanted to test out running a high resistance shield Kymar along with my Sifi and Rhodos in order to counter basically the enemy Warlords. But as you can see here, that Warlord actually had enough accuracy to actually put my Kymar skills on cooldown, I believe. But because they were running a nuke Hegemon, I was able to knock out their Arbiter right away. And here you'll see that Necrit has a Relentless and is just taking extra turns after extra turns after extra turns, which is hilarious because he managed to actually just kill my Sifi along with the ally attacks from that Hegemon. So right here I'm in a little bit of trouble, and this battle's already progressing up to 50 seconds, and they managed to actually knock out my Kymar there too. So here I'm just trying to get back into the game here. We luckily get a counterattack there to knock out that Hegemon, and then it's just a one-on-one battle between that Warlord and my Rotos. And thankfully that Warlord doesn't do much damage, and I'm able to finish him off and save myself from a loss here. And then we move on here. I try my best to avoid those Duchess Ursuga combinations because they do take quite a long time to defeat. And here, again, I'm trying my high resist shield Kymar comp, and unfortunately it seems like Hegemon, when their AI prioritized to do A1 on auto, they always seem to, due to bad RNG, hit my Kymar and manage to land a stun. And because I'm actually not running him in immunity as well as high resistance, he kind of got stunned there, and it's making this battle awfully long. And unfortunately I'm actually not able to do enough damage there to actually kill that Duchess either. So we're kind of in a rut here, even despite that this defense here is a single reviver comp, and that was the only type of defense I really wanted to bring this type of Siphi double Rotos against. Because usually those double reviver teams with Warlord and Hegemon, those are just absolute cancer right now as far as trying to find a good solution to fight them against, especially when it's paired with Kymar with a strip. So that said, that's definitely something I need to look into developing a better solution for upcoming resets, as it seems the majority of defenses are utilizing Kymar in defense now, with Warlord and Hegemon, and some form of reviver such as Duchess here, or a Siphi, if certain players have Siphi. So here you'll see that I'm essentially stalled out, my 2 Rotoses are dead, and that Warlord's just going to keep controlling my Siphi, so I can't bring him back. So I decided to just bail on that battle. So we move on here. At this point in time, I'm like, heck, this Siphi solution with the double Rotos and high resist shield Kymar isn't cutting it. So instead here, I'm just gonna go strictly to my fast Kymar team. And we're gonna rely on just winning the speed race and just fighting reliable battles and ensuring that I'm pulling off the victories. So you'll see here that despite no defense down on the opponent, with the defense up on my Ignatius, he's actually able to do quite some decent damage. So essentially when I was gearing him, I just stole all the gear from my Solus and put it onto him. But this time actually running speed boots on my Ignatius rather than defense percent boots, which I was running on my Solus before. Mainly because this is more like a sustained battle type of offense. So you want the nuker here, my Ignatius in this case, to take enough turns so that he's constantly pushing out damage and not just looking for enough damage to one-shot people in one attack. As you can see here, I do a stupid choice of attacking a Duchess Ursuga combination, and the combined damage soak from the Ursuga and the AoE damage mitigation from Duchess's passive makes this an awfully long battle. As you can see here, combined with the Siphi passive heals, that Duchess is all the way back up to full health. Here I'm able to actually knock out that Siphi and Warlord. And we're just trying to cycle back now, and then I have 2 more AoEs. And all this while those HP burns actually help do a little bit of extra damage and kind of counteract the heals, especially from Siphi's passive. As a lot of these defenses run very high HP units, so it actually turns out that unresistible HP burn from Ignatius A3 is actually very useful. So we move on here again, we're fighting another Candrafon team, and Candrafon teams particularly aren't that good, especially when you're trying to use Ignatius against them. Particularly because he's magic based and Candrafon's force based. And here you'll see that I run in a little bit of trouble, as Siphi does not have an AoE type of revive. So they knock out my Kymar there, and I'm unable to actually lap around with my Kymar and do a reset. So here I'm stuck, burnt out on my Ignatius's 2 AoE skills, and I'm forced to have to just use some A1s here. I managed to get some Cycle of Violence Mastery procs here from doing enough damage with my Ignatius A1s, And so I'm actually able to bring back my cooldowns a little bit, but I'm actually able to bring Kaimar back before that happens, and I'm able to actually reset all my abilities here. And unfortunately, due to that delay, that Torment actually put some freezes on my team there, and is just overall making this battle super long. But despite it being long, I decided to opt for reliability and ensuring that I'm actually able to pull off all the victories upon all the teams I'm comfortable attacking in exchange for a longer battle. And as you can see, I guess a slow and steady approach does do quite well, as I finished quite well on this reset despite making a couple mistakes on offense here. And despite being fresh to this new meta and not having particularly the best option against all these Hegemon teams quite yet. So we finally finished that Duchess off, and we already are at 9 minutes left of reset. This reset in particular, I actually started a little bit late as my alarm didn't go off and I woke up late and I was in more of a rush. So this is why I'm not using that Siphi double Rotos combination anymore. I don't want to take any more risks in terms of experimenting against people's defenses. And again, as you can see here, despite the crazy gear I have on my immunity Trunda, without attack up, she just doesn't do that much damage. But thankfully this is more like a fragile defense, and I'm able to actually clean it up without attack up in just under 20 seconds there. So we were a little bit unsure there whether we wanted to attack Johnny Hex there. And we're just going to attack him with my speed team here. And you'll see that Raglan is actually a decent option as far as defense is concerned now. Especially as a counter to people using Warlord on offense. As Raglan has a 2-turn full turn meter revival skill. So you'll see that she's actually able to bring the Siphi right back right here, even though I actually locked her out right at the beginning. And then right here, I decide to sleep that Siphi so she doesn't boost back up. I kill the Siphi again. And we quickly put the cooldowns of Raglan back on cooldown so that she doesn't bring Siphi right back again. And here, she's actually able to bring Siphi right back as her revive skill's off cooldown, but I'm able to sleep her before that happens, and I clean up there. But despite all that, that's quite a stall, and that was a 50-second battle right there. We move on there. I wanted to attack that team with my Valkyrie team, but just with that combined Duchess there, I was thinking that without defense down, that battle's going to take way too long. So instead I choose this battle here, and this is more like a fragile defense, as there's no Duchess or Ursuga. So I'm able to actually lock out all the team and finish this battle in 16 seconds. So we move on again, we see that defense from Squirtman. We decide to avoid that again, just doing more refreshes. We see a Cantrifon team, no Duchess but Ursuga, so I decide to take it on. We're able to throw everybody's skills on cooldown. We do quite a large amount of damage here. And that Cantrifon unfortunately kills my Ignatius, as he's the prime target, as he has the lowest HP, and he's a weak affinity. And then unfortunately here that Ursuga decides to also attack my Ignatius because he has lower HP. And I'm actually stuck with a lock skills cooldown, or blocks active skills, I believe, debuff, I should say, on my Ignatius. So even though I'm resetting my skills there, he's actually unable to do anything, and I'm stuck with attacking with A1. But despite all this, this is still not too long of a battle. 45 seconds is something I'm more than happy with the current meta. As we can see here, just countless Hegemon Warlord defenses. And especially some mixed with Kaimar, which is probably the most toxic defense currently, in my opinion. And then here because I didn't want to do too many more refreshes, we decided to take on another Duchess Ursuka combination defense. And this I know is going to end up taking around like 50 seconds. But we bear in it, and we're actually able to clean this up quite quickly despite this being a Duchess Ursuka combination, as we managed to knock out everybody else there, and we're just trying to finish up that Duchess now. And we're able to actually clean it up in 30 seconds, which is very, very respectable. So we're just quickly grabbing a new refill here. I forgot to grab before reset. Just waking up late into the reset is just a bad idea, as you're scrambling to just do everything. So here we're against another Candrafon team, and all those weak hits, and particularly because Warlord's lockout skill doesn't actually combine decrease attack, that Candrafon's A1 is actually quite scary. So there they managed to sleep my Kaimar, which is unfortunate. I'm unable to get him a turn before my Ignatius, so I'm forced to do an A1 here. So finally we reset. We put the skills back on cooldown. And we're just pushing out our other two AoEs now. So we finished knocking out the rest there, and just this Duchess here to clean up now. And a minute battle, which is quite long, but we gotta bear with the current meta now. We can't expect 8-second battles like the old days when you can just outspeed your opponent and use a blender. So here we're just furiously refreshing because all we see are Hegemon teams, and if not Hegemon teams, my fellow MAD members. And we're unable to find an easy opponent here. We finally decide to attack Conquer here with my Siffy counter. So we go in here, we throw everybody's skills on cooldown right after my Valkyrie goes here. And we're able to throw off a nuke. And it seems like that Valkyrie there on the opponent team is running a Guardian set, which is quite unique. And I'm happy to see unique ideas, of course. And because of that, actually, save that Siffy. And I actually have to lap around, do my second A3 there on my Trunda. And that Siffy is still managing to stay quite alive. I quickly put the skills back on cooldown, as to avoid her from bringing anybody back up. And then finally the Swift Parry procs on her. And then finally we knock out the Siffy, and then we just have that Torment to clean up now. And despite all this, we're looking at upwards of a minute battle, which is quite long, especially in the last 2 minutes now of reset. We're seeing so many of these defenses from MAD that I want to hit, and that I normally would hit, but we just gotta actively avoid those. I seen Panda right down on the bottom of my list there before on the previous reset, or the previous refresh I should say, and I should have attacked him, but I guess in all this rush I overlooked that and decided to do a new refresh. So here we finally fight Pacus, and he's running a higher resistance Duchess Necrit combination with Warlord, and if I had to guess, that Warlord's probably on Swift Parry, but because I'm running a Warlord to counter it myself, I'm safe from that Warlord doing funky business and potentially stalling out my team. So we quickly do a refresh here. Ironically, that Warlord has more HP than that Duchess, as that Necrit was ally protecting him. But despite all this, we're able to clean this battle up in just a little bit over half a minute, which I'm very happy with. So we're down to the last minute now. Again, we're furiously refreshing as I don't have a viable solution against most of these Hegemon teams. As the randomness between people either prioritizing A1 on the Hegemon or the AoE on the Hegemons, or whether they're crowd control or whether they're nuke Hegemons, kind of make it very, very confusing as to what exactly you want to bring in to counter it. So here, unluckily, their enemy Warlord resists my Warlord, and that 3% resist chance kind of ruins this battle entirely, as I was looking to finish this battle in around 30 seconds and squeeze it in before reset ends, but unfortunately that 3% chance does fall into play and I'm stuck in this battle, and I'm just waiting for reset to finish now, as there's no way for me to finish pushing this battle in order to make it count. So here, we're just controlling the enemy team here. I'm able to actually push my Warlord ahead of their Warlord, so I'm not falling into an infinite stall. So here we're just lapping around, trying to get the skills off on my Ignatius back into play. We quickly do a reset, we're able to knock out that Warlord, and at this point, it's a done deal, as I'm able to keep that Duchess controlled. And we finally wrap this battle up in 1:30. So we know that we didn't finish way too hot, but I wanted to see the leaderboard, and of course there is no leaderboard. So Plarium needs to get on that, if possible ASAP. We look at our defense real quickly. It doesn't seem too many people attacked me during the reset, and those who did attack me, it seemed like my defense did fairly well. So I'm very pleased with its performance, and if you're curious what my defense was, I showed it for a brief second a little while ago. We look around a little further on my defense log here, and before revealing what I placed, I honestly had low expectations coming in for this reset. So surprisingly, we finished 3rd, which I'm actually quite happy with, because this new meta kind of put a huge kink on my ability to attack a lot of Hegemon defenses. And this reset, I knew that there was a lot of Hegemons to be expected, but I just didn't expect there to be that many Hegemons. So definitely for coming resets, I'll be making a decent counter for those. And those who are putting Hegemon defenses, you gotta watch out, because I'm gonna be going for you. So we have yet to get one of those red platinum avatars, but that's absolutely fine, because you gotta give this Catapract avatar some love. Let me know how all of you did this reset in the comments down below, and if you had better solutions to these Hegemon defenses, or overall, just what changes you've made in anticipation of the new AI patch for this reset, please let me know. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you again next week. Wan Trans out.